questions. So we'll move on to Jocelyn Papprill. Kia ora, Jocelyn, welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you for the opportunity. As an educator who's been teaching about climate change for a very long time, I'm urging the Council to be much braver in its action to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change and hence prepare for the future. As I said in my written submission, whilst I agree with the overall tenor of the draft Ōtautahi Christchurch climate change strategy, I'm surprised that more hadn't been achieved since the Council declared a climate emergency in May 2019, or even since the Climate Smart strategy of 2010. I can't help but agree with Professor Hayward's oral submission last week when she suggested in her analysis of the strategy that the climate action within your budget was poorly articulated, lacking objectives, data and allocated resources. It's vital that you consider the legacy you want to leave for those that come after you when you're making tough economic and social decisions, particularly when determining what can be built where. I'm disappointed that Council did not continue the good work started back in the early 2000s prior to the quakes, nor use the opportunities provided by the quakes to move ahead on climate conversations and actions. The statement by Dr. Rob Bell in this very good book, the recent Climate Aotearoa book, on the impact of sea level rise on our coastal communities is pertinent. Adaptation to this ongoing risk requires a new paradigm to work with the uncertain pace of change summed up by the phrase monitor and act preemptively rather than default to the prevailing mindset of defend and hold the line. Holding the line is becoming increasingly unsustainable. While we definitely need to move much more rapidly in terms of decarbonising our economy and lifestyles, we must also be planning for resettling coastal communities, with the understanding that any resettlement cannot compromise the use of productive land. We still need to be fed. Housing our future population will look different to today's suburban spread. I look forward also to seeing the Climate Leadership Group formed and actively working alongside a citizens' assembly to ensure a greater range of voices and their concerns are heard. There needs to be a true mix of individuals and groups involved in discussions regarding economic and built transformation, so be sure to include creative thinkers, young people, social entrepreneurs and steady-state economists. Business as usual within a neoliberal paradigm will not take us to where we need to be in terms of reducing our carbon and ecological footprints. We need to be moving toward a circular or steady-state economic paradigm where environmental and human well-being is at its heart. Now, I agree with the previous submitter, David Hawke. Work with community, build expertise and solutions together. It's certainly something I try to engage young people in, planning for the future. Rather than seeing climate change as all doom and gloom, we need to look for opportunities to take the time now to plan for how and where people may be living in 50 to 100 years' time. Look to where local communities have already started such conversations to learn what has worked and not worked for them in terms of engaging their residents. World Environment Day is coming up on June 5th. It's a focus on ecosystem restoration. One area the Council could invest in terms of mitigation is protection and restoration of the natural environment. We need healthy ecosystems for our very survival. Support the work done in this area and provide more staffing for the parks team in the Council. The role rangers play in liaising with and supporting community restoration groups is vital. The relationship building they do with communities cannot be underestimated. Invest in your people, build their expertise, and many of the other things will slot into place. Most importantly, do not delay. Move beyond the round tables to action. Now's the time to be courageous and not be dissuaded from the urgent task. And read this book, please.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
Thank you very much. Now, we have got the